everybody, get up. It's time to slam down. We got a real jam going down. Welcome to the Space Jam. Wait, I'm confused. What are we talking about? This is a Space Jam podcast, right, Amanda?
Yeah.
In the wrong place?
We're
Okay.
space jamming all the episodes of The Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors.
That's right. And on that note, who's your favorite Monstar?
Kodos.
That's the right answer. It's Tales from the Treehouse, and it's episode 7, which means we're talking about Treehouse of Horror 7. I'm Andrew Fantasia. Hello.
I'm Amanda Barone.
This episode came out, the one you're listening to came out probably right now, if you're listening to it new, but I'm talking about this episode of Simpsons came out October 27th, 1996, and last time I mentioned how we were 2 years away from Space Jam, I lied. We were actually only 1 year away from Space Jam because this came out a month before Space Jam lit up megaplexes across the globe and changed humanity for the better. 1996 was an interesting time because I don't know if I mentioned yet on this show, Amanda, how there was, I think I did bring it up. There was a childhood home I used to have that I'm like obsessed with. And the lady who lives there now actually like let me go. I talked about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there was a point a few years back where I was trying to remember exactly when I moved into that house and when I moved out. And it turns out Christmas 96 is when I left that house. So that means this episode of Treehouse we're about to talk about is the last Treehouse of like my childhood before my childhood kind of like shifted and took a crazy turn and I left that home. So it's kind of a bittersweet thing. At least I had Space Jam to keep me on the straight and narrow throughout all that. What was 96, Halloween 96 like for you? What were you up to in those days?
I lived in Georgetown, so we used to have to go to Brampton, like to my cousins to trick or treat, or I'd go to my friends who didn't live in deep like country rural part of the town, so I could go because I had like 3 neighbors.
Oh no, there was no trick or treat action in Georgetown, huh?
And not where I lived, in like the more southern part of the town there was, but I lived pretty like deep into, I guess, the heart of the rural area. So there, like, we didn't have the same kind of like neighbor distances. Like my neighbors were like a couple acres away. I never saw their houses or really saw them. Like they were like down the hill and over. So yeah, and a lot of them didn't have kids. So like I got a bus to school, or like a car used to pick me up from school, a station wagon when I was in elementary school and bring me to the school. Yeah, because I lived like that far away.
Was there wood paneling on the station wagon?
You damn right there was. There was yeah. Some dude named, I think his name was Neil. I want to say Neil used to pick us up. And we'd all fight about sitting in the back of the station wagon. Like who got to sit there at that point.
And nobody wanted to sit next to Neil?
No, we didn't. No, we definitely didn't. No, he was a nice guy, but yeah, we all wanted to sit in the back and stare at the oncoming, or like the cars behind. So it looked like it was, it had the reverse seat, so you faced the car that was driving behind you. Yeah, good times.
Wow, station wagons. We should pour one out for them at the wood panel. Like they have been eaten up by SUVs, by the SUV craze, and frankly, I think that was a change for the worse. But
yeah, I agree.
Wood paneling was the best. It was underrated in houses. It made everything so warm and cozy, but no, everything's got to be gray now.
Was I sit in a gray room?
Well, Treehouse of Horror 7. Amanda, why don't you walk us through our first story of the day?
Oh, the first sketch. A sketch. I didn't say episode. I'm jinxed myself now. Not that, but
now you're going to say episode from this.
That's all I'm going to say going forward forever. End of time. Yeah, the first sketch in this Treehouse of Horror episode is called The Thing and I, a fun play on The King and I. And it all kind of starts where Bart hears some weird noises coming from the attic, and he and Lisa decide to investigate. and they discover Bart's long lost, what appears to be evil twin named Hugo, um, that he's been locked up in the attic by Homer and Marge since birth. Dr. Hibbert, he gets into the mix because they think he's escaped, and Marge calls Dr. Hibbert because he was involved. So he comes to help the Simpsons family capture Hugo. And my favorite twist, I think, of all the twists in any Simpsons episode ever. It's not really a twist, but at the end of the day, when everything is said and done, it turns out that Bart is the left and or evil twin, and it wasn't Hugo. So he'd been, unceremoniously locked in the attic and isolated and alienated from the family when it was really Bart was the evil one all along. Which, if you watch the show, it's pretty obvious. Hugo seems pretty debonair and like sophisticated for living in an attic and eating only fish heads. Uh, so good for him. He doesn't know what a mirror is, but
It's good with a needle.
it's good with a needle. Yeah, it's with his pigeon rats. Yeah, Hugo begins to experiment with looks like definitely cross breed, I guess, surgically sewing things together because he wants to be surgically attached to Bart. So yeah, he comes up with the pigeon rat in this insert of The Simpsons, which is horrific. When I was a kid, I'm like, oh, it's funny, but it would be terrifying if a child tried to sew a rat to a pigeon. Like, it's so scary. Hey, look, Mom. Like, oh my God.
Not only that he tried, but he succeeded.
He succeeded, yeah.
You know how hard it is to catch a pigeon?
It's pretty hard. He did pretty. Step one, like that's a pretty impressive feat right there. Yeah, great feat of cleverness and strength. Jeez. Yeah. So I mean, this episode is obviously a take on a couple other older stories. One being The Other. This is a pretty popular sci-fi story or story back in the day. But yeah, all along Bart was the sinister twin. It's a fun little play. Again, parody where they just use the family, added a sibling, so it works really easily. Yeah. The dialogue is really funny. Like Marge is just so calm, like at points, and you're like, oh, okay, there's no danger here at all. But you feed it fish head. Like it's living in the vents, like something scurrying away in a vent, like that would trip me out. Yeah.
This, like, I think, like so much of The Simpsons lately, this story in particular became huge online. Particularly Hibbert holding up that mirror, punching through it. That's become a thing now. That's so like in the zeitgeist. And Dr. Hibbert, I think he's the star of the show here. Like he just every line he has, he's delivering banger after banger. Even just his sudden appearance in the house, I love this regularity. He's just
yeah. She calls him, he doesn't answer, and then a strike of lightning, and he's there.
And he's not even in the front doorway. He's like in the family room in the front.
Yeah, he's in the house. Yeah. Center of the house. Just finished the sandwich.
I genuinely love The Thing and I, just as a classic Simpsons story, and so many good moments, so many good beats. There's something cozy and homey about when everybody leaves and Bart is alone and he's looking around the empty house. Like that reminds you of being a kid when the house was dark and quiet and you're like, somebody could be in here. Yeah. You mentioned The Other, which is a great reference, but this reminds me of a TV movie. I'm really curious if you've seen this, Amanda, because you've seen everything. So I'm curious if I finally found something that like you can experience the first time. It's a TV movie called Bad Ronald. You know Bad Ronald?
No, I can't say I've had the pleasure.
Okay. I need to do minor spoilers if I'm gonna do justice describing Bad Ronald. So if people want to hear nothing, plug your ears. But it's about a teenage boy who lives alone with his mom. And his mom is very overbearing. You get a kind of like Norman and Norma Bates kind of vibe from them.
Mm-hmm.
And at the beginning of the movie, Ronald accidentally murders somebody, and the mom is like, "I'm not letting my baby go to jail." So there's a bathroom in their house, and what she does is she walls off the bathroom except for like a little trap door, like a doggy door, and she puts Ronald in there, and she says, "You're gonna live there until this all blows over." And so he spends months and months like living in the wall, and she's like sliding him food and stuff. And like the cops keep coming to the house and like, "Where's your son?" Blah, blah. She's like, "I don't know. He ran away." So then uh, the search for him, like they know he did it, but the search for him kind of peters off. And then here comes the minor spoiler. Something happens to the mom, and a new family moves into the home, and Ronald is still living inside the walls. And it is just amazing.
Oh my God. That's terrifying. But like, how is that better than jail? Like, if you find to a wall, like at least in jail you have a bed and like stand up in a torturous small space. Well, for who knows how long? Because sorry, what crime did he commit? Murder? Was it murder?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no statute of limitations on that. They're gonna continuously look and prosecute you for that. Yeah. The mom is a genius. The genius there. No, I was not familiar with that, but that's a great story on how you can be grossly misinformed
Mm-hmm.
in criminal law.
Yeah, Ronald's mom was not playing with a full deck. But yeah, if you get a chance, it's a TV movie, so it's super hard to find. I don't know if YouTube has it or something, but if you can get your hands on Bad Ronald, it's 96 minutes that you will never regret.
Can I ask, like, is there anyone noteworthy who play like the character, like the actors for the in the film, or
I feel like the dad of the family that moves into the house, I feel like he might have been somebody, but not somebody that's like immediately recognizable. I think he's somebody I have to look up and I'm like, "Oh, he was in blah blah blah." But no super famous faces that I can remember.
okay? Interesting. Great choice, movie mom.
Yeah.
I hope that's based on a true story. Like, I hope. I hope.
I really hope so too. Thad Ronald, love it. All right. Story number 2 of this Treehouse of Horror is the Genesis tub. Another one inspired by a Twilight Zone episode where Lisa is putting together a science project, which the kids tend to do a lot. The Simpsons kids do a lot of science projects. I don't remember ever doing a science project. Maybe I was just a bad student. But her project actually seems pretty neat. She loses a tooth. She puts it in a tub. She fills the tub with cola. She's like, let's see how this cola affects this tooth. And then static electricity gets introduced into the picture because Bart's being a jerk. And then bada bing, bada boom, you have tiny life. And she's watching this tiny life unfold like a game of The Sims that she has no control over. And, Bart is causing trouble because he's Bart. And the tiny life decides he's a threat, and Lisa is their god, and they're going to deal with that accordingly. And she gets pulled into the world with a debigulator and Larry. um, the Genesis tub always felt to me like something that if I tried really, really hard as a scientist, I might be able to pull off. I like to still think that fantasy is true. Maybe one day I can do it. Um, this does feel very Twilight Zoney, especially just like from the last episode that we did, all those stories and the thing and I like they're a bit more cinema centric. And then this one goes right back to good old fashioned Twilight Zone. Did you ever see the episode that this was based off of?
You know what? I have. It was called something about little people, I think. And it was also the influence, the inspiration for Honey I Shrunk the Kids, I think.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, no, this movie, or sorry, the movie Honey I Shrunk the Kids, I feel like it also came out around the time this movie came out, or this sketch came out for Treehouse, like early 90s. I feel like it was Yeah.
I
I feel like it was like
in
1990.
Yeah, 1990 seems about right because we went to Disney for my 5th birthday, and like you could go to the Honey I Shrunk the Kids thing, and there's like a giant Lego. So
Yeah.
yeah, 90 seems about right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it was probably pretty topical, and they had a couple sequels. Um, Again, movies, but not a lot of movies came out. Not as many
Yeah.
movies came out back in the day. So things were popular and had like resurgences, especially seasonally, like Halloween.
Mhm.
Um, so it's smart to have movies that are Halloween based or horror because people will rewatch them on a annual basis. But yeah, kids' movies were regurgitated a little differently back in the day because there wasn't as much content. Um, but this was a clever way to combine, I think, both of those, the Twilight Zone story and with the more like banal, family friendly version into the Simpsons episode, right? Again, it's a focus on Bart and Lisa. So it's a little less scary. If you think about it in, you know, realistic terms, it is a pretty scary situation, like for you to be shrunken and, into a community where they don't have the technology to unshrink you, because that's preposterous, right? Why would they do that? As the like miniature, Frank, so to speak. Um, the little people, the little guys in there.
Mhm.
Lisa's civilization. Who they're not very smart, by the way. Like, come on, Lisa. Um, but yeah, no, I think it's a pretty good play on evolution and like creation, and yeah, it's fully Twilight Zone inspired. But I don't know. It's funny for Lisa to be the main character in this one because it's, as you expect, not very scary, kind of pretentious. Like the horror of it is more philosophical.
Yeah.
I'm like, and it's just I don't know. It's not my favorite, but
Yeah, it's spoilers for when we do our ranking later, but it is the least sort of standout of these three stories. But it's got its moments. I like it. I love how excited Lisa gets by the promise of waffles, which never
yeah,
comes to fruition.
square pancake.
Yeah, love
Waffle irons always in the shop. Yeah.
Lisa. She might be like she flip flops with Maggie for like my favorite character on this show. And what I love so much about Lisa is, she's this uber genius and she's like gonna save the world with how smart and how kind she is and everything. But I love when you get those little glimpses of, oh yeah, she's still an 8-year-old girl. Like that episode with Proposition 24 when they're gonna vote out all the immigrants, and she's at the quickie mart with Marge, and Marge is talking to Apu, and Apu's like, yeah, this is bad. I'm gonna get sent away, and Marge is like, I'm not gonna vote for 24 because you're my friend. I'm voting against it. And Lisa has that line where she's like, Mom, I'm so proud of you. Can I get this licorice? And I'm just like, that's like one of my favorite Lisa moments because I love whenever you see like the genius girl who's always trying to do the right thing, and then just the little kid. Like,
Yeah. No, it's true that you forget. I think you probably forget too when you're dealing with, say your own kid. Like they're still a kid because at moments they have wisdom, right?
Mhm.
And purity, and then they're closer to education than we are. Like they're all in school, right? So the more you know. But no, it's a true and valid statement, and I think that is kind of also what makes it kind of scary in general, like a kid dealing, science experiments. Like, what should you be letting children under the age of 10 touch things that aren't baking soda and vinegar? You know what I mean? And like in this case, it isn't, but a little bit of, a spark from Bart, and it's caused, Lisa to become the creator, right?
By the way, Martin really phoned it in this year on that science fair.
Yeah. He usually gives Lisa a run for her money. Yeah.
All right, walk us through Citizen Kang.
A Citizen King. This is a great sketch. Um, a really good parody of just generally American politics in the 90s during the, presidential election in 95 for Clinton and Bob Dole. Also, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So, this sketch of The Simpsons shows our favorite UFOs or UAPs now, as they're called, Kang and Kodos. They abduct the current presidential candidates during the 1995 election. So they go after Clinton. I love how it's like he's like, oh, is it after 12? Like an afternoon? Like as they're waking him up, he's the current president and lazy. And then Bob Dole, and it's like the running competitor.
Yeah.
Ross Perot was mentioned, which is kind of funny, like just briefly, like glazed over when they're talking about third party votes and like throwing your vote away, and it like shows him punching through his hat, like his like. Anyway, yeah. So Kang and Kodos abduct and then clone themselves as current President Clinton and Bob Dole. Was he the president? He was.
President.
Yeah, yeah. It was his re-election campaign.
Right.
So yeah, it's funny, the episode goes on, and again, I love the abduction comments. Like when they abduct Bob Dole, he refers to himself in the third person, like Bob Dole doesn't need this, and like he gets abducted.
I wish I had been more politically aware back then, because I would have loved to watch Bob Dole and see if he actually talked in the third person.
You know what? I think it's a nod to like the political, like the campaign, like the media that they released and would release and create during those periods, because I remember it. I do actively remember it. My parents always watched like SNL, so they had a lot of sketches. This is very topical. It's funny that they would actually include like I don't know if there's been an episode where it was so politically like it's pretty politically charged. Like they had both presidential candidates, like the two main, again, like the third party vote, you're throwing your vote away, right? And they make a joke about that, but it's also about how when they abduct Homer, he asks who the leader is. They're like, take me to your leader, and he's like, well, that's gonna change in a week. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of like to think about in terms of having a president or having any political party in office and in control. Like if you were to be like abducted, like who is the leader? And yeah, it does change, right? But yeah, just it's a really good take on obviously a parody on politicians and how they're often unnatural and odd, and just the reactions to the public when it comes to the policies that both Kang and Kodo, once they're revealed to be aliens, like their policies. Because it's a two-party system, you have to vote for one of them. Mm-hmm. But again, in enslaving humanity, like don't blame us, we voted for Kodo. Right? The planet is doomed, so you gotta vote for one of them, and either way, it doesn't matter. Is basically kind of the satire there, and it's funny and it's terrifying at the same time. And I think they did a good job with that. Yes, very topical.
Very.
Yeah.
Like what a brilliant way to you have a Halloween episode, but you also know in about a week and a half there's a national election happening, so like you get to tie them both together, and it works as both. It's like two big events for the price of one. Yeah. Amanda, is this the greatest Kang and Kodos have ever been in the history of the show?
Oh man, I think so, and I love them. This is my favorite Kang and Kodo episode, I think. Yeah. How about you? Do you agree?
I think I do. I think that they are the biting satire of politics, particularly American politics, particularly two-party politics, is like it could not be more perfect. Like they are hitting that nail on the head with every joke they tell. Yeah. I think my friend Marco, who I think I mentioned in the first episode, who is a huge Simpsons fan, and we're going to try to get him on the show as a guest star at one point. He and I don't think there's ever been a time where he and I were in the same room when we didn't pull a quote from this episode. Like it's so universal. Citizen Kang as a story is so universal. Mm-hmm. I love it, and I love the Kang and Kodos of it all. But wow, what a classic! What a great way! And I think in future episodes of Treehouse, I think they have integrated the whenever there's been an upcoming election, I think they have used that to their advantage. Like I remember
Mhm.
seeing one where Homer goes into the polls, and it was the first time Trump ran,
Yeah.
not this new time, and like they just showed like a quick scrolling of a whole bunch of weird stuff that Trump has said as like Homer is voting. So they've taken advantage of that for sure in future treehouses, but this was the first time it was really used to full effect. And I don't know if the Lewinsky thing had happened already in '96. I can't remember. Is that dress already stained, or is she still okay?
Yeah, I think that it kind of broke in 96. Before, maybe after he won again, I feel like.
Hmm. So this would have been right before that. And even
Right.
if it had happened in '96, they probably had written this before it happened. So they just missed getting in, able to throw in a Monica joke.
Yeah, I think it might have been happening around the same time. I just know the whole like the trial and impeachment over it all was like in 1999. Like it was later.
Mhm.
Um, but I think it may have been between 95, 97. So it could have been. This was definitely pre-statement where he was like, "Oh, I did not have relations with that woman." Like definitely pre that because that was like 98, right before like right after he was accused, like the impeachment, all of that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure people were aware or it was happening during that time, like
Right.
during this time period. It's a little did the Simpsons know. Like, yeah,
They were just under the wire to tell a Monica joke. It's okay.
yeah.
Next
Just
time
under
they'll
the wire.
throw it in. Um, and then our episode ends with that, with Citizen Kang. And of course, we're well into the period now where there's no um, story tying it all together. So we just get our three tails and then we're out. So let's talk about our favorite quotes of the episode, Amanda, because this is a big one for me. Um,
Oh,
there are probably some of my favorite Simpsons quotes throughout this whole episode, but and like it's hard to not have 25 honorable mentions when it comes to this, but I think I'm gonna have to go with my heart because this contains probably one of my top three quotes from the 38 years of this whole show.
okay. What is that?
It's really dumb, but I literally I have to get in the right zone because I can't even quote it without laughing.
It might be what I think it is.
Oh boy.
And
Take
I
a guess.
say it all the time.
Take a guess.
Okay. Where he's like twirling, twirling that part.
It's very close to that. It's very close to that. You're in the right story.
All right.
It's it's literally when Bob Dole gets sucked into the UFO and he gets placed in the tube and he says, "What the hell is this? Some kind of tube?"
Something Bob Dole would have said. I would.
But like, oh man, I that kind of um but like that whole episode, yeah, the twirling, and I think like a very very close runner up is it doesn't matter which of us you vote for, either way your planet is doomed. Refreshingly frank words from the president. Like,
Yeah.
the oh man, this it's if it wasn't for the tube, I would have had a hard time picking the best one, but the tube inches it out. I say every time I just to amuse myself, if I'm just bored, I'll pick something up and be like, "What the hell is this? Some kind of phone?" Like I'll do that in my daily life all the time, and it never ever fails to amuse me. So Bob Dole, I don't even know if you're still alive, but you have no idea how much joy you have given this young man who doesn't live in the same country as you. So thank you,
Oh,
Bob.
that's yeah, no, mine is definitely the twirling, and then yeah, it doesn't matter who you vote for. Her planet is doomed. And she's truer now than ever. Yes.
I'm pretty sure that's been used as a GIF in the last like four elections. Like it's been, it's,
Yeah. Everyone since that aired, pretty much. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, we got to rate these stories. So, where are you feeling? Where's your heart telling you number three?
My number three is definitely the Genesis tub.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
Not Yeah, not my favorite. Don't really like. I don't know. I don't see it as Halloween. I mean, it is kind of scary. It would be scary to be shrunken and stuck. But yeah, I don't know. It's not Halloweeny enough for me. It's not aligned closely enough to a scary Twilight Zone episode. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of it, and I didn't find the satire to be as funny. Like I didn't find there were as many jokes. Like the funniest part is when Bart messes with them, and then like the thing makes a comment where she finally at the end is shrunken, and she's like, oh, I guess like she has to rule. She's stuck there, but she's like, bring me shoes, nice ones, and they're like, I'll bring her socks too. She probably eats socks. Like that's probably my favorite quote in the entire sketch. The socks. Yeah, not my favorite.
Yeah, it's missing the scare factor. I'm not like, don't get me wrong, being shrunken would be horrifying. I mean, just watch the movie The Incredible Shrinking Man, and like you thank your lucky stars you're as big as you are. Um, it's just you're right. There's the satire is not as like we're not even sure what it's satiring. It's just kind of having fun with a tiny town. Uh, there's just not a lot of meat on that bone. It's fine meat. It's like one of those drumsticks where you're like, okay, I took 3 bites and I'm already done. And it's definitely overshadowed by the other two stories. All right. What is your number two?
Number two is The Thing and I.
The Thing and I. Same here. Amanda, this is the first time we've completely matched our rankings. Should we virtual high five? Or is that too corny? There we go.
I
I
did
gave
it
a
wrong.
sound effect. There we go. It sounds like we really did
Look at us. Not lame at all.
it.
Nothing cooler than calling yourself cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Definitely The Thing and I. It's funny. It's got the like Hibbert is the best character addition to that story. He really ties it all together with his creepiness. Like again, like you mentioned, being in the house. Like when did he get in? How did he get in? And the overall just, story. I like the whole Bart being the evil one. I always noticed earlier on, I'm like, wait, he's on the left side. And like you're Italian, right? I'm Italian.
Yeah.
Part Italian anyway. But left, the word for left in Italian is like sinister. It's sinistra, right? Like
Mhm.
that means left. And I think the Latin word for left is the same. Are you left-handed?
No, I'm not. Are you?
No, I'm ambidextrous.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah, I'm weird. But I've broken my hands a bunch of times. It's probably why I like had to learn to be. But yeah, it's funny people just associate left with evil, and I don't get why.
Yeah, like that. That's like a chicken and egg thing. Like, were they calling left sinister and then they use sinister to denote evilness? Or did evilness come first? Like, what? I'd love to know the etymology of that.
Yeah, it's strange. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was funny. How why people associate it with it. But yeah, I noticed always early on. I'm like, he was the left twin because it's on the side, right? So
Right.
yeah, so I was like, Bart's evil. He probably was the evil.
Yeah, again, we shouldn't be so shocked about it. And
No,
like
it's not shocking.
it this talk about, you have this great story that has stood the test of time. And I don't think they ever even leave the Simpsons house. Like they managed to do it all just within the same house that you've always seen a bunch of times.
Yeah.
We mentioned how King and Kodos have never been better than they are here. I would say the same for Dr. Hibbert. I don't think he's been funnier. This is like the gold standard of Dr. Hibbert.
Except for when Bart glues all the stuff to his face and he needs fear sweat, terror based sweat to remove the glue. The only other time he's been as good. Only other time. Yeah. Yeah. Well, he has that gravitas, right? He's got that, you know, um, James Earl Jones esqueness to his voice. So he really adds to this story, but yeah,
Mhm.
it's definitely not doesn't beat Citizen King, that's for sure.
No, Citizen King, like in any other treehouse, I think the thing and I would have won out, but Citizen King is one of the most timeless, hilarious, quotable parts of any Simpsons episode ever. It's the best use of Kang and Kodos. It's the best political satire that this show has done, and that's friggin' saying something. Like you, there's nothing wrong with the story. It does everything so well, and it's funny as hell on top of being great political satire. Like Homer accidentally killing both president elected, like that sound of them, like I got you guys, don't worry,
Yeah.
and then the
Yeah.
silence.
Yeah, the vacuum of space. Great.
they
Gotcha.
they just they hit every ball out of the park with Citizen Kang. And surprisingly, no Citizen Kane references in a story called Citizen Kang, which is kind of fun. For a show that loves its Citizen Kane references. I had to look something up for this episode, actually. Maybe you already knew it, but I didn't. I needed to know who Lyndon LaRouche was because
Yeah, actually, I don't know who that is.
oh,
Rep-
wait till you hear this. This is great. Because Homer says like he's gasping in shock at the aliens and seeing all the conspiracies. He says, "Oh my God, Lyndon LaRouche was right." And finally, I decided I'm going to figure out what the deal is with this guy. Um, so a quick rundown of what Wikipedia says Lyndon LaRouche was is he was a perennial presidential candidate. He tried to run for president many times. Um, it says in the during the 70s, he created a foundation and became engaged in conspiratorial beliefs and violent and illegal activities. He started out on the radical left, being a conspiracy theorist, but then eventually he embraced, quote, radical right politics and anti Semitism.
Oh,
At various times, he alleged that he had been targeted for assassination by Queen Elizabeth II, Zionist mobsters, and his own associates, who he said had been drugged and brainwashed by the CIA and British spies.
well. I was gonna say, is this my guess would be a conspiracy theorist, but wow, I didn't realize they were that deep into it.
This guy was a character, and he was running. He was running for president a bunch of times. Wow.
Does doesn't seem that far out of pocket these days, though.
No.
Wondering RFK and his affiliations with the current, POTUS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's who Lyndon LaRouche is, everybody. The more we know.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Citizen Kang, best story of this episode.
Yep.
And one of the best stories of The Simpsons. This is what a big one. This is a big one. I was looking forward to us getting to talk about Citizen Kang.
Yeah.
Just it's got everything you could ever want in a Simpsons episode. All right. We have to recommend some books, don't we?
Yeah, you should go first this time, Andrew.
Okay. So I don't have any political thrillers, which would have fit the mood. And I don't have any books about people living in the walls. So I decided to go a little bit generic with this one. I have here. Hey, what is this? Some kind of book? I I have here collections from the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror comics. And they came out with these really nice glossy collections. I have three of them. I have the Heebie Jeebie Hullabaloo, I have the Spine Tickling Spooktacular, and I have the Hoodoo Voodoo Brouhaha, which is very fun to say out loud. But these are just like a grab bag of reprints of horror Simpsons comics, and then just like new material. So it's a little bit of Bart Simpson's Guide to Life in here, but with some Trios of Horror kind of aspects. Have you read any of these, Amanda?
I haven't.
So they're fun. You'd like them. Like they'll take a Simpsons comic. So like for example, Sideshow Blob, that was one of the Trios of Horror comics. And they'll print that in full for you so you can read like the comic. But then they'll have like just fun stuff. Like there's this story called The Curse of the Thing, and it's like a Mad Lib, and you see how it's written by Lisa, and then later you see how Bart would write it and how Homer would write it, and I think Grandpa gets involved too. And then there's like fun stuff like this, like how Bart and Lisa monster proof their room. There's a great story in here, this one called The Exorcister, where Lisa gets possessed by the spirit of Madonna.
Madonna.
Madonna. Like there she is. She's getting possessed by Madonna. Uh, and then there's like paper cutouts. It's just like a fun Halloween grab bag of all kinds of just goodness. And they made at least 3 of these. I don't know if maybe there's more, but they're just, if you just want Simpsons Halloween stuff and you can't get enough of that wonderful stuff, and like you're like, I want to go beyond the show, you're gonna have a good time with these. They like there's always something. You turn the page, you never know what you're gonna get. Just like Bart saying, "Here's costumes you can get on a budget," and he shows you what kind of costumes you can have. Like it's wonderful, classic Simpsons stuff. It feels like it's just it's got Matt Groening's humor all over it too. I think he might have written some of it a lot himself. Some of the interstitial stuff anyway. And yeah, like I said, there's at least 3 of these. There might be more. Sometimes they go for like a crazy artist, so you'll get something like that. But yeah, I like it a lot. And they'll have fake ads, but with Kang and Kodos pretending to be humans, because it's like the books are written as if Kang and Kodos are distracting you from them trying to blow up Earth. So they always distract you with ads like saying, "Watch Cobra, it is a show for humans." And it's beautiful. So that's my book recommendation.
Awesome. I like it. I love interactive and just comic graphic novels. Like they're just so much fun. You can't go wrong. Unless it's Mouse. That's different.
Yeah. From what I hear, it's not fun. It's good, but not fun.
A little darker, yeah. I have an interesting choice this week. It's another nonfiction, something a little different. But if anyone is a fan of true crime, or I think just like has any kind of affinity for the science behind profiling of serial killers, and identifying and study of or investigation of, there's a really great um, series of books, or a couple books, and one of them I'll highlight is today, by a special agent from the FBI. His name's Joe Navarro. This is the book. It's called Dangerous Personalities. So Joe is a body language expert, and worked with the FBI and worked with them to develop profiling, and worked as an expert profiler with the FBI for a really long time. And he basically wrote this book as a sort of tool for a way you to identify people who may potentially be dangerous, and identify personality traits of people that might be something to look out for, and ways to identify or protect yourself from those kinds of idiosyncrasies or traits that they might have. It's kind of an interesting guide, because you read through the book and it sort of simplifies it, obviously at a 4. So it's kind of interesting, because I read it wondering ooh, which one do I fall into? Not to protect myself. Ooh, which one am I? Yeah. But no,
kind of killer would I be profiled?
Yeah, which one would I be? Which dangerous personality am I? But you can easily attribute yourself to one of these things, because it's super interesting just to see the dynamics of profiling and things that they do consider what is considered dangerous, and what level of self-awareness most people would necessarily have, because most people would read this and think of it as a tool. I'm looking at it, I wonder which one I am, right? Maybe I'm a dangerous, but no, as a joke. Yeah, it's a joke, but it's a really interesting book. He's a pretty smart guy, and just in talking about body language in general, it's super fascinating to read about, and the things that you might necessarily think as having weight, do, or something that you might think of as just banal or trivial isn't, things like that, or things that could potentially lead to more dangerous things. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Again, study of people in a way, and kind of makes you think about your own personality and the personality traits of the people that you're around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. And that's fitting too, because this is an episode about people who want to be president. So
Yeah. Yeah.
A book about profiling sociopaths is it fits. It fits.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, no, it's pretty interesting. It's in a there's parts that are in like a list format and like, you know, it prefaces it as with the scoring. Like, you could fall into this. Like XYZ. But yeah, very informative, very educational. Yeah.
I know a couple people who I think that would be a good Christmas gift for. Can you text me the name and the author when you get a chance?
Sure can. It's
Thank
an
you.
essential survival guide.
Ooh, well, you're still alive, so clearly it works.
Still alive, no. He's great. There's a bunch of like YouTube channels that feature him, and he does a lot of interviews and explains a lot of like the process of profiling and like how they developed it. Similar to if anyone is a fan like of Mindhunter, like John Douglas, I think is his name, who was the profiler who they based that show on. A number of his books are very interesting. I'd give an honorable mention to his one book and I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about it and it's super cool, super fascinating. So John Douglas, he basically developed the profiling for identifying serial killers like specifically. And again, that's what Mindhunter, the series, is all about, like him developing the protocol, like going and speaking to a number of serial killers, and it's all really fascinating. But to create those profiles and that kind of pathology, the psychological pathology behind it, the one of the books that he has, it's him revisiting really famous historical crimes and giving a profile on who he thinks did it based on his background as an FBI profiler. And he does the Lindbergh baby case. He does, Jack the Ripper. He talks about Jean Bonnet. Like he talks about all of those people. And it's a really interesting book. I don't necessarily agree with him on some of who he said, like after even given his analysis and like his reasoning. Still, I'm like, nah, I don't agree. Like just gut intuition. Like I don't think that's right, but it's a fair assessment. But yeah, so that book I would also recommend reading. Yeah.
Good choices. I saw a YouTube documentary a few years ago about Jack the Ripper, and the person that they fingered as like, we're pretty sure it's this guy. Like I'm convinced. I've seen different POVs of who people think it is. I've read books, and I'm convinced this guy was the Ripper. And he went on and lived a full life, which is kind of scary. So
yeah, yeah, super interesting.
It's one of the things I'm going to ask when I get to the afterlife. I'm like, tell me who it was.
JFK, Jack the Ripper.
JFK was Jack the Ripper.
Yeah. Oh shit.
It was me all along. I'm immortal.
Say it right. Louder.
Well, that's going to do it for Tales from the Treehouse, episode 7 already. We are almost halfway there. We're chugging along nicely. It's probably November when you're listening to this, so you might already be getting into the different holiday spirit, but we don't care. Halloween is a year-long tradition, baby. Deal with it. I guess that'll do it for now. We will see you for episode 8, where I'm going to have to bring out the second of these complete guides, because this only goes up to season 8. So I will have a much lighter and hopefully much better proofread book next time around with fewer. We'll see. Don't quote me on that. But until then, and we got to say this with gusto, because this is the episode where it happens, don't blame us.
We voted for coding.
Hell yeah. See you next time, everybody.